As you can see here, there is no chance of harm coming to anyone or anything that we show in this video. Hey everybody, I'm glad you could join me again. Do you like technology? How about optics with built-in video and photo capabilities? Or perhaps the ability to also tell you just how far it is to your target using a built-in laser rangefinder? What if I also told you that this optic can see in the dark, combining digital night vision and thermal capabilities? Well, I have an optic right here in this box that does all of that, and I'm very excited to show it to y'all. That's right everyone, it's time for another WV Guns and Goats video. When I went to SHOT Show, one of my goals was to find some things for review that nobody else had done yet, and I came across the Shine brand. Well, that's what they were called at the time. They are now known as Shinenyx, and their website is www.shinenyx.com. They happen to have 3 different optics at the show. The Aim101 you see here, this is their entry-level optic. They had another rifle sight with a huge 98mm, that's almost 4 inches in diameter, front lens, and they also had a monocular style unit. When I looked for some coverage on YouTube, there just wasn't anything out there except some videos that the company had put out themselves. So I got to talking to Ben at Shinenyx, and he offered to send me a unit to make some content with. And that is what you're watching now. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please like, comment, and headbutt that subscribe button to join the herd here at WV Guns and Goats. This is the first part of a multi-video series about the Aim101. This video is going to cover everything that comes with the optic, the specifications of the unit, and how to use the optic's multiple buttons and in-scope menu functions. This video will also include a good bit of footage showing off the unit's performance. The next video will be the optic put onto a rifle and taken to the range to sight in, as well as some actual target shooting. The last video will be comparing the Aim101 to a regular thermal scope, as well as an ATN X-Sight 4K digital night vision scope, as well as more footage taken through the unit. Before we get further into this video, something to note is that I am using an iPhone 13 Pro to film through this optic. However, when looking through it with the naked eye, the image quality is even better than what you are seeing in this video. Now when I say thermal fusion, know that I'm talking about optics combining thermal and night vision technology, and in this case we are talking digital night vision technology, which works extremely well with thermal technology, as they are both digital, as opposed to traditional analog night vision. Yes, I know a lot of people out there who don't like digital night vision, but it's always improving, but more importantly, both technologies work together to kind of fill in the shortcomings of one another. For example, due to glass being an insulator, thermal lenses have to be made out of substances like germanium or other materials with low absorption in the IR spectral region, and glass will appear opaque under a thermal camera. Here is where the digital night vision comes into play. You can see that the DNV sees through the glass front of this store. Thanks to combining the thermal and the digital night vision, or DNV, we now have a thermal image, and the night vision is letting us see through the glass behind it, although the thermal sensor capabilities don't extend through that glass. The biggest thing you'll notice on this optic is that it ditches a traditional scope form factor. This allows Shinenyx to put a large low light sensor into the unit, as well as a really large viewing screen, while keeping the Aim101 a fairly compact size. I think one of the things holding digital night vision back is everyone wants to shove it into a traditional scope. Then you run into sensor and viewing screen limitations that affect usability. While I do have an ATN X-Sight 4K, the size of the view screen is a bit lacking, and there will be some comparison between these two units' performance in that third video. Now it's time to take a look at all the features of the Aim101. The optic itself, USB-C cable, two 18650 batteries, and an Allen key. That is everything that comes in the box. The manual for this optic is found online. The first thing you're going to have to do is put them into the optic. And let's take a close look here at the optic itself. There's actually very, very little plastic in this optic. The entire body is aluminum. The buttons are rubber. The eyepiece is rubber there. Most of the plastic is actually found in this battery compartment here. This is the carrier that holds both of those batteries. We can see it has the battery polarity markings well marked on there. It has this lid here. You got to open that up first. You've got some cushion gaskets there, the gold colored springs, and the battery markings. So positive right there, up, positive down. Close that. And now your battery carrier is back together. This is aluminum here, and the battery carrier has an O-ring around it, which gives this unit IP65 ingress protection. And now the battery carrier just slides right into the scope like that. Push it in, and it'll click, and it's very well made. Very, very nice, seamless fit right there. You may be wondering if the Aim101 is a large, bulky optic, because it's really two optics in one. Well, I think you'd actually be pleasantly surprised. Check this out. We've got a Leupold Vari-X. I think it's a 2, 3-9 by 40 here. We've got them lined up back here. You can see that it is shorter than your standard hunting scope. So this optic will operate in temperatures as low as -30 degrees Celsius, which is -22 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. At the rear of the optic, we have this nice soft rubber eyepiece. This helps prevent light from getting in or out while you're looking at the 2.1-inch 1600 by 1200 screen. That's almost as big as an original Game Boy screen. So it's very easy on the eyes, no need to squint. It's not like you're looking at a little postage stamp screen inside of there. This knob right here is the zoom and the menu knob as well. We will cover that as well as these 4 buttons on top of the unit later in this video. On this side of the optic, we have the USB-C port. This port allows you to charge the unit when it's low on battery power, and they claim a life of 8 hours or 6 hours if you're constantly using this IR fill light that's on the unit here. You can also update the optic's firmware through this port and download any of the photos or video you have recorded to its 128 gigabytes internal memory. That's a good bit of memory, and you don't have to worry about buying SD cards or worry about another port getting dirt or water into it. On top here, we have a GPS panel. This optic gives you GPS locations, so say you're out hunting and you record a big deer on video, but you just can't take a shot. Well, you can come back later and look at those coordinates and know right where you were. Just type them into Google and it'll pop up on Google Maps. Look at all these lenses, guys. We've got an IR fill light over here, a thermal sensor, laser rangefinder, and digital night vision. To use the IR light, you press this latch button right here and fold that up to 12 o'clock. It's going to automatically turn on when the unit is on, and to turn it off, just press that latch button in again and fold it down and it'll turn off. The thermal sensor and the night vision sensor do require manual focusing, but it's very easy to do. This thermal sensor is a 384 by 288 sensor. They claim it can detect a hog-sized target out to 800 yards away and recognize that hog target up to 500 yards away. I have spotted and recognized deer at 400 yards, so I believe them there. It has a 25 frame per second refresh rate. Next is the laser rangefinder. It's good out to 500 yards on a deer-sized target, but in my experience on a large structure, I have gotten over 1,000 yards out of it. It also has the ability to adjust a bullet drop dot for yardage, but that is currently in very early stages. They say a full ballistics calculator is coming, where you can input the information on the ammo you are using into the scope, and it will adjust more precisely. But for now, it's just a very basic system. This is the main digital lens here. It's a 48mm lens with a digital zoom of 1, 2, and 4x. And I don't know how well you can see that down in there, but that is the large sensor that this unit has for no light, low light, digital night vision conditions. With this optic being digital, you can use it during the day. However, it is still in black and white or thermal overlay colors. It does not offer a full color daytime mode, which I think would have been excellent, but the resolution is great. That image sensor is actually 1920 by 1200. It's a very crisp and clear image, and that sensor, when we were shooting footage through it, the darker it got, the better the image quality got. Now that we've gone over all the specs of the unit and looked at it close up on the tabletop here, let's go ahead and look at some footage through the optic, and I'm going to show you how to use it. Let's go over the controls that are on the outside of the Aim101. On the left side, there's a knob. If we turn this knob, it's going to adjust the magnification levels. However, if we click that knob, it's going to bring up the in-scope menu here. And we'll go over all the different menu options here in a moment. Now there's a series of buttons on top of the unit. The first one, the orange one, that's your power button. It turns the scope on and off. The next one is your laser range finding button. If you press that, it's going to activate the laser rangefinder. Below that is a camera button. Because this unit is all digital, it can take video and it can also take photos through the unit itself. Below that is the image mode button. If you press that, it is going to cycle through the various image modes this scope has. We are currently on digital night vision, thermal fusion with white being hot, thermal fusion with black being hot, and pure thermal. Press it again, returns us to the digital night vision mode. That is an overview of the external controls on the Aim101. Let's go over everything we can see here. In the center, of course, we have our crosshair. To the lower right of that crosshair, you'll see another black reticle. And that reticle is for the laser rangefinder on this unit. If you want to range find a specific item, you just put that laser rangefinder crosshair on that item and you press your range finding button. It's then going to display the yardage to the target. To the right of the reticle is an inclinometer that tells you how many degrees off level you are, either uphill or downhill. At the 12 o'clock over the reticle is a compass. It's always going to display north and tell you how many degrees off of true north you are. At the bottom of the screen on the left side, now this is blurred out, but there are GPS coordinates to where the scope is currently being used. On the lower right hand of the screen is a date and timestamp. At the upper right hand of the screen, we have 4 different icons. The first one indicates what image mode the scope is in. We are in digital night vision mode right now, indicated by the star. To the right of that is an indicator of what magnification level you are currently on. As you see, we are on 2x magnification. To the right of that, you have a little memory card symbol, and that shows you how much internal memory is remaining for photos and videos. And then to the right of that is a battery level indicator. The Aim101 has a lot of in-scope options. If you'd like to access the in-scope menu, there's a knob on the left side of the unit shown here. This knob normally adjusts the zoom level of the optic. However, if you'd like to access the in-scope menu, you will click that knob inward. And as you see, it brings up the menu here. If you'd like to scroll through your options, once that menu is on screen, and it will go away after a short bit, and you'll have to click that knob inward again, and you see the little red outline moving left to right, that's how you select the option you want to adjust. Once you've found the menu item that you want to adjust, you click the button a second time, and that menu item will turn blue. The first item is the display brightness. You see we have it set to 3, 4, 5, we are going upwards in brightness here. 6 is the brightest setting on the Optic. Then if we turn it again, we come down to 1, which is the lowest, and we'll go back to 3 here. Once you're at your desired selection, click the knob a second time, and you will see that the menu item becomes unhighlighted. That way you know that you're done making choices in that menu item. The next option is metering mode. This is going to read the light at your target. If the light is pretty even, you can use the full screen to give you the best image quality. If the light is uneven, say the target is darker than the surrounding area or lighter than the surrounding area, say the ground is very light, then you'd want to use that center point metering. That's going to read the exposure at the center of the crosshair when it's on the center point to help that target look better. Next is the crosshair type. If we select this and change it, we have a yellow crosshair now, which is crosshair type 2. Number 3 is a purple crosshair. There is no crosshair available if you're just using this optic for observation and you don't need a crosshair. And then type 1 crosshair is red. I think the yellow crosshair really stands out. It's been my favorite on this scope. We have this option to highlight objects that are giving off heat downrange thanks to the Aim101's thermal capabilities. If we turn it on, it's going to draw an outline around anything that's giving off heat downrange. You can see the 2 cows, and I think that's a deer standing downrange past them. It also has this ability to periodically highlight objects where the outline will slowly fade in and out, just so that it's not on the screen all the time. Maybe it would be a little bit distracting. So it fades in and out. As you can see, it's picking up another deer walking into the picture from the right there. And then you can also turn it off if you don't want it on. Next, we have time zone. You can use that to set the clock inside of the unit and the timestamp that it displays on the screen. I believe auto sets it by the location that the GPS gives it. If we continue scrolling here, we'll see the first 5 items on the second page of menu items correspond with the buttons on top of the unit. Let's go through those modes right now. The first one being the image mode, and you can see it is indicated that we are in night vision mode by the little star there. That image mode is also displayed at the upper right hand corner of the unit. If we scroll through that, we'll see that we have a pure thermal image, a black hot thermal image overlaid onto the digital night vision, and a white hot thermal image overlaid onto the digital night vision. And then we come back to digital night vision. We also have the option to zoom through the menu, 2x, 4x. And if we look at the row of icons at the upper right hand corner, you'll see that that 4x is also displayed there. And then the 1x is displayed there as well. So a quick reference to know what zoom level you're on. Laser ranging. If we select this option, it's going to activate the rangefinder, and you can see the beam reflect off of the slow-moving vehicle placard there on the back of the baler. It displays the yardage to the lower left of the crosshair, and it also displays the yardage at 12 o'clock at the top of the screen. You can either turn that off in the menu, or you can press the button on top of the unit to turn it off. Snapshot and video recorder. Because this is a digital optic, it can take photos and videos through the optic itself and record them to its 128 gigabytes of internal memory. If you select snapshot, you'll take a photo. You saw the little waiting symbol there. That tells you you've taken a photo. If you select video recorder, it's going to start filming. It has a built-in microphone on board this unit. You'll see the icon turns to a pause symbol and a timer starts at the upper left-hand corner. You can select video recorder again, and it'll stop recording video. These options correspond to the camera button on top of the unit. If we press the camera button one time, we will take a photo. To record a video, just press and hold the camera button. You'll see the timer appear again to indicate that we are currently recording video. Just press and hold that camera button one more time to stop recording video. Hit point adjusting in 100, 150, 200, 250, and 300 meters. This is part of the really basic ballistics compensation system that the Aim101 has currently. They are working on a full ballistics suite where you can put in the bullet velocity, weight, etc., and it's going to give you a much more precise bullet drop compensation based on the distance that it ranges to the target. To use this current system though, you sight in at either one of those 5 distances, tell it that's the distance that you've sighted in, and it's going to try and give you a bullet drop compensation based on the distance that the laser rangefinder reads to the target. Crosshair horizontal adjusting and crosshair vertical adjusting. This is how you sight the Aim101 in. What you're going to do is you're going to put your target out there downrange and you're going to take a shot at it. And then without moving the scope or the rifle, you're going to come into the menu here and make your adjustments that is required to move that crosshair to your impact point. And you can see it counts up and down the distance you've moved from 0. And then this one will move our crosshair up and down, of course. That's our vertical adjustment. Once you have the crosshairs on that bullet hole, the optic is sighted in and you're ready to go. If you want to get the photos and videos off of the Aim101, just plug it in to a USB-C cable and turn the unit on, and then on your computer it's going to appear as a USB drive with a folder for videos and a folder for photos. And you can go into those folders and look at all the photos and videos you've taken and then copy them to your computer's hard drive. It's as easy as that. And here are some photos that I took through the Aim101 itself. Indicate that we are currently recording video. With the button on top of the unit, you just hold it down and you'll see the Okay everybody, I hope you enjoyed that overview and how to use video on the Shinenyx Aim101. Once again, their website is www.shinenyx.com. Thanks for watching everybody. There are more videos coming on this optic, so watch for those. Once again, this has been another WV Guns and Goats video, and remember, if you're not out there having fun shooting, what are you doing?